welcome to Spectrum News. I am Emedion James coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at today's headlines. Federal government directs VCs to enforce no work, no pay rule. Akwa Ibom State government approves upgrade of College of Education of Lancet to University of Education. Plus, Benjamin Netanyahu describes President Donald Trump as greatest friend of Israel. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. First in the news this morning is that the federal government has directed vice-chancellors of all federal universities in Nigeria to commence enforcement of no work, no pay policy against the members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Asuu. The directive, which was contained in a circular and signed by the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, note that in line with the provisions of the labor laws of the Federation, the federal government reiterates its position on the enforcement of the no work, no pay policy in respect of any employee who fails to discharge official duties during the period of strike action. The circular was copied to the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Permanent Secretary of Education, Pro-Chancellors of all federal universities, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Executive Secretary of the NUC. Recall that university teachers are currently on strike over alleged federal government inability to meet the outstanding demands. To the legislature, where the National Assembly has proposed shifting Nigeria's next general elections to November 2026, 6 months earlier than the usual February date. The proposal is contained in the Electoral Act Amendments Bill 2025, unveiled yesterday during a joint public hearing organized by the Senate and House Committees on Electoral Matters in Abuja. The bill, which seeks to repeal the 2022 Electoral Act and enact a new Electoral Act 2025, drew lawmakers, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders to the one-day session. According to the draft amendment, elections into the office of the President and Governor of a state shall be held not later than 185 days before the expiration of the term of office of the last holder of the office. The proposed adjustment aims to ensure all election litigations are concluded before the May 29, 2027 handover date. Lawmakers, however, noted that the change alone may not be enough unless the judiciary is strengthened to handle the volume of election cases. If approved, the amendment means Nigeria's presidential and governorship elections could hold in November 2026, roughly 6 months before the end of the current administration's tenure. Other highlights of the bill include inmate voting, LD diaspora voting, use of NIN for voter registration, and compulsory electronic transmission of results. Away from that, the Qatar Foundation has pledged to support Nigeria's renewed efforts to reform the Al-Majiri and out-of-school children education system. The foundation's promise followed a meeting between the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and the foundation's founder, Sheikha Al-Misnad, in Doha. Oluremi, who led the Nigerian delegation, sought the foundation's collaboration to address the challenge of more than 15 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, the highest number globally. According to the First Lady, the federal government, through the Ministry of Education, is embarking on a transformative module of Al-Majiri education schools that will integrate both Islamic and formal education. She noted that the scale of the challenge requires strategic international partnerships, adding that given the magnitude of the challenge and the competing demands on the country's national resources, Nigeria cannot achieve this alone. In a separate development, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has sworn in Benibo Anabraba as a new secretary to the state's government, urging him to discharge his duties honorably and avoid abuse of power. Anabraba's appointment marked the first major appointment by Fubara since his reinstatement following the lift of the 6-month emergency rule declared by President Bola Tinubu on September the 18th. Anabraba, a former minority leader in the Rivers State House of Assembly on the platform of the All Progressive Congress, also previously served as Commissioner for Housing under the incumbent administration. While congratulating the new SSG, Fubara described the appointment as an act of divine favor. The governor expressed confidence in Anabraba's ability to perform, noting his past record of service. Back here, in his drive to improve the standard and quality of teachers' education in line with the human capital development of the RISE agenda, Akwa Ibom State government has upgraded the Akwa Ibom State government has approved the upgrading of the College of Education, Afaransit, to Akwa Ibom State University of Education and approved same for regularization. The State Commissioner for Information, Aneka Nomana, announced this when he briefed Government House correspondent at the end of the State Executive Council meeting held at the Executive Council Chamber, Governor's Office, Uyo. According to him, in a bid to realign and update ministerial responsibilities as well as resolve areas of overlap, the governor also approved the composition of a special committee to implement the exercise. The committee has the secretary to the state government as chairman, with the head of the civil service, executive assistant, attorney general, solicitor general, and managing director of AKICA as members, noting that the committee has 6 weeks to submit its report. He noted, however, that following the review of the report of the Interministerial Committee on the implementation of the state of emergency in the health sector, the Council considered and approved project and programs timelines, especially the recruitment of doctors and medical professionals, increasing special peculiar allowances for medical personnel, skipping policy for the health sector, evaluation and completion of BOQS for Phase 1 of the rehabilitation of selected hospitals and primary healthcare facilities within 2 weeks to enable health infrastructure interventions to commence by November 1st, and the commissioning of the General Hospital Ukanafun on the 10th of November 2025. Government House correspondent Jen Uwa reported that Governor Moino, however, charged the members of the council to remain steadfast and loyal to the ideas of the administration. The governor urged them to remain committed to service delivery and collaboration for the full realization of the RISE agenda and for the overall development of the state within set timelines. In the meantime, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has paid a condolence visit to the family of the late Reverend Dr. Umar Akbai, renowned evangelist and founder of the Umar Akbai's Evangelistic Association. Speaking during the visit at the family residence in Uyo, Governor Eno described the late cleric as an icon and a rare gem whose passing is a great loss not only to Akwa Ibom State but to Nigeria and the global Christian community. The governor said the visit was to reassure the bereaved family that the government and the people of Akwa Ibom State stand with them at this difficult time and will collaborate with the family to ensure a befitting rite of passage for the Reverend Man of God. Addressing Pastor Philomena Umakbai, the governor prayed that God will comfort her, the children, and all spiritual sons and daughters of the deceased. Responding on behalf of the family, Pastor Philomena expressed gratitude to the governor and members of the State Executive Council for the visits and words of encouragement. The governor concluded the visit with prayers, thanking God for the impactful life and ministry of the late Reverend Dr. Umakbai, and asked for divine comfort and strength for the family. Let's move now to Africa, where Cameroon's opposition challenger Issa Shiroma Bakari has claimed election victory against incumbent President Paul Biya, who has been in power for 43 years, with official results from Sunday's vote expected in 2 weeks. Chiroma declared in a post on social media, calling on the government to accept the truth of the ballot box or plunge the country into turmoil, and promising to publish detailed results by region. On the foreign scene, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has described President Donald Trump as the greatest friend of Israel ever to occupy the White House. He made the remarks during Trump's appearance at the Israeli parliament, the Knesset in Jerusalem. Netanyahu also praised Trump for his policies and actions in support of the State of Israel. He commended Trump for recognizing in their 2020 peace plan the right in Judea and Samaria, their ancestral homeland of the Jewish people. Still on the foreign scene, Venezuela has announced that it would close its embassy in Oslo days after opposition leader Maria Corina Machado was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. In a statement, the Venezuela government did not comment on Machado's prize, saying that the closure was part of a restructuring of its foreign service. Meanwhile, Norway's foreign ministry confirmed that Caracas has closed its embassy in Oslo without providing a reason. The Nobel Committee in Oslo awarded her the prize on Friday in recognition of what it called her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela. Still to come in the news. Former Super Eagles head coach Onik Bingde challenges team to give their best in today's encounter. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. We move now to a business scene where, as a way of giving back to the oil-producing communities, the federal government said it has embarked on a total of 536 community projects across the Niger Delta. In a statement, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission (NUPRC) noted that the projects had been held simultaneously in the region. According to the Commission, the Host Community Development Trust (HCDT) has risen to 373 billion naira as of October 13, 2025, in accordance with Section 235 of the Petroleum Industry Act of 2021, which mandate oil companies to incorporate HCDT for the benefits of host communities where they operate. A statement signed by the Commission's Head of Media and Strategic Communications, Eniola Akinkuntu, also said the fund comprises 125 billion naira and $168.9 million, contributed by oil companies operating under the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. The ICDT requires oil companies to deposit 3% of the operating expenditures of the preceding financial year into a trust fund, which will be housed in a bank with a Better Business Bureau BBB rating. Still in business, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) has called on governments worldwide to build stronger institutions and ensure the independence of their central banks. At the IMF annual meetings in Washington, D.C., IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva spoke at the Civil Society Town Hall program, part of the pre-opening event at the ongoing World Bank IMF annual meetings. The IMF chief also played down the impact of U.S. tariff on many world economies, saying the effect of the tariffs has decreased compared with the position at the April 2025 meetings. She added that the private sector is currently much stronger than it was in April, signaling improvements in global economic performance. In health, pharmacists have blamed poor coordination between key government agencies tasked with securing the nation's pharmaceutical supply chain as a major reason behind the persistent circulation of fake and substandard medicines in the country. The stakeholders called on the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Customs, Foreign Affairs, and law enforcement agencies to collaborate more tightly to tackle the high rate of fake drugs. The expert urged the government to step up regulation, integrate broader pharmacies' responsibilities, and clamp down fiercely on the counterfeit medications. The drug specialists called for urgent reforms, including the implementation of track and trace technologies, stronger penalties for offenders, and robust collaboration across agencies. Let's move now to sports, where former Super Eagles head coach Adegboye Onigbinde has challenged the team to give their all in the clash with Benin Republic. The Super Eagles will host Janot Roadside in a crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier at Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo, on Tuesday. Nigeria currently sits in the third position in Group C with 14 points from 9 matches. Eric Chell's side must beat the Cheetahs and also hope South Africa drop points against Rwanda to qualify for the Global Soccer Fiesta. Onigbinde said he is hopeful the Super Eagles will beat Benin Republic and South Africa to the ticket. Reports say Tuesday's encounter will kick off at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. Still in sport, Chelsea has announced the signing of Nigerian central defender Justin Osagie. The defender joined the Blues on undisclosed fees after a successful trial at the Stamford Bridge. Osagie, aged 20, moved to Chelsea following the expiration of his contract with Peterborough United. During his trial at Stamford Bridge, the central defender was said to have impressed Chelsea's academy coaches and earned himself a permanent deal. On entertainment news, Taylor Swift has become the first artist in history to simultaneously debut a film, album and song at #1 in the United States. Her new album, Life of a Showgirl, and the lead single, The Fate of Ophelia, debuted at the top of the Billboard 200 and Hot 100 charts, respectively. Reports say Taylor Swift has also become the first artist in history to occupy the entire top 10 on the Hot 100 on 3 separate occasions. And that's all we have for you at this time. To ensure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News. I am Emedion James. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching.